Today on Gunbelievable, we're taking a look at the Remington R51. This gun is cool, and it should have succeeded. Look at it, it's elegant, and it has something we never see in pistols today, mechanical novelty. Whereas nearly every other handgun uses a mechanism invented a century ago, the R51 uses a mechanism that was also invented a century ago, but a different one that we haven't seen in the meantime. Aimed at the concealed carry market, it's slim, snagless, and smaller in all directions than a Glock 19, yet it fills the hand reasonably well. Sure, its capacity is only 7+1, and it has no optics mounting options, but it was introduced in 2014, back when optics were rare and double-stack ultra-compacts hadn't been invented. In that narrow window of time, it should have been a connoisseur's choice for a carry gun, and it should have given Remington a desperately needed foothold in the handgun market. But it wasn't and didn't, and shortly after, Remington filed for bankruptcy. Why can't we have nice things? Let's find out. Picking up the R51 feels pretty good. It strikes the right balance of being slim and smooth for concealment while being grippable and comfortable for shooting. Its aluminum frame gives it some weight, coming in just over 26 ounces fully loaded. The only weak spot is the backstrap grip safety, which can feel a little strange, almost like it's about to pinch my skin. It hasn't yet, but we'll come back to that. The pressure required to activate it is a little more than I'd like, but I find that when I'm actually shooting, I naturally grip it hard enough. The mag release is flush to avoid unintentional activation, yet the checkering makes it easy to find. It's somewhat on the stiff side, but that's okay. It's also ambi, nice bonus, and the mags pop out with authority. The slide stop works really well. It's easily manipulable one-handed. There's a witness hole at the top to check if the chamber's loaded, but unfortunately it's small and hard to see into. Manipulating the slide, you can feel that it's really uneven. It's kind of herky-jerky. You feel each stage of the mechanism inside moving. More on that later. But otherwise, no complaints about build quality. The trigger has a reasonable amount of take-up, followed by a wall that breaks cleanly at 5 pounds. The reset's medium length, and it takes you right to the wall, but it's barely tactile and hardly audible. I wouldn't say it's my favorite trigger ever, but it's better than many pistols on store shelves. This one came from the factory with a Crimson Trace laser installed, and while I don't recommend lasers on guns, I do really like how well they integrated the laser with the rest of the gun's styling. The button's comfy and impossible to miss, though I wish there was an easy way to disable it so that I'm not burning batteries while I'm dry firing. The sights are a basic 3-dot arrangement, all white, looks like a Novak cut, which means you might have options for swapping them out. You get 2 mags, which hold 7 rounds each. Surprisingly, extras are still available on the market for reasonable prices. I picked up some from Cabela's just last year. Now, the coolest thing about this pistol is its mechanical system, which it inherits from its ancestor, the Remington Model 51. That one ended production in 1926. Let me take a minute to explain what makes it so different. When you fire any gun, the empty cartridge case has to be delayed from backing out of the chamber until after gas pressure has dissipated. Otherwise, some of the gas pushing the bullet down the barrel will come out the back and into the action, causing malfunctions, damage, even injuring the shooter. 2 common ways of doing this in pistols. I'll use this rod to simulate the empty case being pushed back by gas pressure. In the first way, called blowback, the case starts backing out immediately, but the slide is heavy and the spring is stiff, which slows things down. The system is simple, and the barrel doesn't move, which helps with accuracy, but it makes the gun heavy and bulky and more difficult to manipulate. You can really feel all that mass ka-chunking around when you shoot. The other way is called recoil operation. The slide starts moving, but the empty case isn't backing out of the chamber at all because the slide and the barrel are locked together. After just this much travel, the slide and the barrel separate, and it's only then that the case can start backing out. It's not much of a delay, but a little goes a long way. This system is more complicated, but the guns are lighter and slimmer and more pleasant to use. You can think of the R51's hesitation lock as somewhere in between. The case starts backing out of the chamber immediately, like a blowback, but only for a millimeter. The breech block is a separate piece from the slide. It's the red one in this diagram, and it gets frozen into place at this point, which stops the case from backing out any further. The slide keeps moving until it reaches a point right about here. You can see that the barrel is the piece with the text written on it, and just behind that there's a slightly visible piece that's silver. That's the breech block. This is when the slide grabs onto the breech block and they resume traveling together, at which point the case can continue exiting from the chamber. In theory, this system gives you the best of both worlds. You get the accuracy benefits of a stationary barrel, and the spring can go around the barrel instead of underneath it, which lowers the bore axis. But like a recoil-operated gun, it can be light and slim and pleasant to shoot with a spring that's not so stiff. In practice, the R51 shoots fine. I wouldn't say it's snappy, but it's not smooth either. The weight of the all-metal frame is somewhat offset by its small size and slim grip. I don't notice anything different about the recoil impulse compared to recoil-operated guns. Mine has run perfectly reliably with all kinds of ammo, brass, steel, aluminum, even some hollow points. Now, I have to mention that the first R51s had a horrendous reputation. Essentially, none of them worked right. They were recalled, and it took Remington 2 years to start shipping Gen 2s like this gun. Even these have a strong reputation for flakiness. Do not snag one of these and bet your life on it, but mine has run well so far. That doesn't mean I like it though. After a mag or two, I feel like I've developed a paper cut in the web of my hand, and after 4 or 5 mags, I'm pretty much sick of it. There's something in the grip safety that feels not like pinching, but like it's cutting me. It's happening up here at the top of the grip safety, and it happens no matter how tightly or loosely I grip. I might need to start shooting it with gloves on. Also, I quickly learned to reload it with the slide locked back, because this thing does not want to let you rack the slide on a full magazine. Let me show you what I mean. Yeah. However, the real pain doesn't begin until it's time to take it apart, because this gun disassembles unlike any other pistol. You have to hold the barrel back against spring pressure by pinching it while you slide it off the frame. If you want the details, you can find plenty of other videos on how to do it, but I'm just going to roll the footage of my doing it in the background and bleep out the curses. As you hold the barrel with these tiny little serrations, you can feel yourself fighting a losing battle. Your fingers are probably going to get sucked into the gap between the barrel and the slide, and that hurts. Putting the thing back together is even worse. The manual says to wear eye protection while you do this, and there's a reason. This spring cup thing can slip off its notch and go flying. Sometimes the barrel doesn't want to line up with the hole in the front of the slide, and you end up trying and trying again and mangling your thumbs in the process. I've done it several times now. I still find it physically damaging and obnoxious every time. Just when you think you're done, you can mess up at the last minute. The slide stop has a tab that interfaces with this spring, and if you insert it such that the tab is above the spring rather than below, the gun becomes single shot. It'll lock open every time. It's easier to put it in the right way than the wrong way, but it's not guaranteed if you're not paying attention. Adding insult to injury, once you've made that error once, the spring seems to deform a little bit, and it becomes a lot more likely it'll happen again next time, even if you're trying to get it right. As I said at the top, this should have been a connoisseur's carry piece in the mid-2010s, but the American gun buyer has zero tolerance for reliability problems, and Remington's inability to get this right, even after a 2-year-long recall period, sank the gun forever. Even if they had worked out the kinks, the cost-to-benefit ratio here was just too high. The pros of the hesitation lock are cool on paper, but in this implementation, they're negligible. It doesn't really shoot better, the bore axis isn't really lower, it isn't meaningfully more accurate, but disassembly and reassembly are made immeasurably worse. Had this gun worked on day one, perhaps we'd see the hesitation lock explored further. Maybe somebody would have figured out how to make something truly great out of it. Instead, our one rare chance for mechanical innovation slipped through Remington's fingers, and we're cursed to live in a world where slapping bright colors on your sightless $600 pocket pistols is enough to justify a booth at SHOT Show. That's it from Gunbelievable on the R51 from Remington. Smash that like button, be sure to subscribe. If I get 1 million subs, I'll buy a Remington shotgun. From 2007.